Just love seeing you all out here today. I understand we got Super Bowl Sunday next week. That's like baseball or something, right?
Yeah.
Hockey?
Yeah.
I'm in the most amazing mood today. I took a leap of faith, and I have wings.
Yay.
I have wings. That's what faith does for us. I'm so happy to be talking about faith all the time because it reminds me to be in faith. Carla, would you scoot over a little so I could see you?
I can see you.
Okay. All right. Just the camera was in my way, so. Well, our Sunday lesson, here we have conflict and communion. Conflict, of course, is when we're in the storm, right? The storm of life. Communion is where we are in the eye of the storm, like right here in our divine center. The nature of the universe is change, it's movement. The nature of the universe is expansion and its growth. And we only experience conflict when we resist change and movement and expansion and growth. But if we're having conflict anywhere in our life, it does mean that we have conflict right here. This is where it starts. Every day we are embodying, whether we are in conflict or communion, through our choices and what those choices lead to next. So if we're choosing something from fear is repressing, and it's suppressing, and it's oppressive, and it keeps us from receiving, it doesn't keep us from receiving, it keeps us from having awareness that we're receiving divine guidance. It keeps us from having awareness that we've just been inspired by a brilliant idea or some divine inspiration. So conflict is a contracting energy. It's a withdrawing energy. Now, when we choose from fear, that doesn't necessarily look like being scared, because we can actually be scared of doing something new, but be totally in faith. Like we can be in faith and be scared at the same time. When we're choosing from fear, what we're doing is we're looking at the world around us and we're not seeing the activity of God present. So if we're not seeing the activity of God present, we're not honoring the activity of God in every person. We're not allowing ourselves to entertain the idea that even in this crazy event, the activity of God could work through all that, right, and surprise us. So choosing from fear in our own lives, what that may actually look like is attacking or judging another person because I don't like how you believe. You believe different than me, and it makes me uncomfortable. And if you're believing different than me and making me uncomfortable, then I have to try to convince you to think like I do because I don't like being uncomfortable. It's hard to be uncomfortable. Right? So we get judgmental toward other people because they make us uncomfortable. They make us uncomfortable. If we're coming from fear, we might say no to exciting opportunities. Right? Oh, this could be amazing, and it's what I've been dreaming about my whole life. It could change everything going forward, but it could be hard. It probably required me to change how I live my life right now. I might have to stop eating pizza for 3 meals a day. I might have to stop playing solitaire in 12 hours a day. I just might have to change something, and it would be hard. That would be very uncomfortable. That'd be very uncomfortable to have to do something different. When we're choosing from fear, also, we might have a little trouble honoring our own boundaries, right? And we don't want to tell anybody what our boundaries are, but we want them to psychically know and just avoid. Like, don't ask me to drive you to the airport because I can't say no to that because then you might not like me, and that might make me uncomfortable if you don't like me. Right? So we may not be asserting ourselves and saying, oh, I'm so glad you asked me. No, thanks. I can't do that, though. I wish I could, but I don't want to. Don't want to be uncomfortable. Right? You can see that comfort has a lot to do with how we're living our daily life and how we're making our choices. And the thing that's challenging is that anytime we embody faith, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be about as comfortable as jumping off of a dam, wearing one of those backpacks that opens up into a hang gliding thing. Faith, embodying faith, taking a leap of faith is just that comfortable. Just that comfortable. It's as comfortable as, well, any kind of leap, right? Any kind of leap. The thing about being in faith, though, is when we are in faith, we have a little bit of clarity. It may not be a ton of clarity, but we have a little bit of clarity about the next thing to do. And that next thing doesn't have to be a huge thing. How in this last week, my next thing, following faith, my next thing to do has been, all right, sweetie, drink water. You're not hungry. You're thirsty. Drink some water. Don't look at those nachos. They'll just make you mad. I'm sugar and flour free enough that my brain is now turned into you're hungry all the time. It's tricking my body. I always think I'm hungry right now because I push that stuff out of my life, right? But other thing, it could be call a friend, take a nap, lay down, play your drum, go walk the labyrinth, right? It's little things because, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, he said, you don't have to see the entire staircase. You just need to see that first step. Because no matter how much faith we had, if we saw the entire staircase, we might just be like, that's a lot. I think I need to rest for a minute, right? Because that's a lot. But see, the little things add up. When we're choosing from faith, we're taking one direction at a time, and they add up, right? They are moving us forward. Now, when we are in fear, we don't have that kind of clarity, right? And everything, we're kind of like a turtle when we are in fear, right? At the slightest hint of danger, which is change and growth and expansion and movement, the slightest hint of danger, we withdraw into our shell. Because when we're choosing from fear, having one clear instruction is not good enough. Because it's like, what, drink water? Like, what's that going to do for me? How's that going to get me to this happy destination I want to go to? Right? When we are in fear, we want to see how everything is going to pan out. We want to have the guarantee of success, right? So we know everything happening between here and our happy destination. There's no hiccups. There's no uncomfortable feelings. And if we can't get that, well, I'm going to withdraw in my shell because that's uncomfortable. I don't want to do any of that. Fear waits and faith leaps. Fear suppresses our inner resources. Faith expands our inner resources. Faith is expansive. Now, when we have conflict anywhere in our life, it's all starting right here for one reason. We're just not in communion with our divine self. We're not in alignment with that indwelling spirit. We're not in integrity with that spirit. Because ultimately, of course, what we want to do is listen to that. But sometimes we're not acting in integrity with that spirit just because things feel hard, or we are scared, or we don't have the guarantee of success. So we might make those choices that fail to honor our divine selves. Well, I had a really hard day, and I should get to eat those nachos. I'll just start again tomorrow. Just do it again. I'm like really good at restarts. I've had like 1 billion of them. Right? Now, it really may be our intention to make choices that honor the divine, but like I love what the Apostle Paul said. I want to do what I want to do, but I always end up doing what I don't want to do, and then I don't do what I do want to do. That's what I always do, and I don't know why I do that, and I hate myself. All right, that's what happens. Right? We have the intention, but see, if we don't have any faith in ourselves, we don't have faith in that direction that's coming to us. And so we're going to want to know how everything's supposed to work out. We're going to want to know that there's this guaranteed success. And if there's not that, then we don't want to do it. We just want to wait for something easier to come along. This is the thing that always held me back, right? I had all these dreams, and I had all these great ideas, but I felt like they required so much out of me. I was going to have to change my life. I was going to have to give up the behaviors that were keeping me from having the things that I really wanted in my life. So I would think it was too hard, or I didn't trust myself. I could never make that happen. Somebody else could do a way better job at it than me. And if I try doing it, if I decide to start doing that, and people will be pointing at me and talking about me and thinking, what's that Deanna think she's doing that for? Right? I really, really believe that. Oh, the other thing, I was always waiting for my special purpose to be revealed. Something really special. So all my friends would talk about me and how, like, Deanna has a special purpose. At the time I was working as a healer, I learned about massage therapy. I was actually working in a chiropractic office. I did energy healing. And I had all these other things I learned because learning was so much fun. But I still kept thinking, well, I wonder if I'm meant to be a massage therapist. I wonder if I'm meant to be a healer. Like, I was waiting for the burning bush sign or the big booming voice coming out of the sky. Right? And so I wasn't getting any understanding about that. And I'll just keep doing this until something tells me to do something else. But see, at the time, I thought my purpose had to be divinely directed in a big booming voice, and I thought my purpose was a thing that I was doing. I didn't understand that our divine purpose, our big purpose, is calling forth the divine through us into our lives, through our choices and our actions. Our big purpose is living a life in faith. That's our big purpose. Because we can change our mind about the other stuff. I'm not doing massage anymore. I retired from all that in 2015. I changed my mind, but I still have the same purpose. Divine purpose, right? We could talk about life purpose. That could be different, but my divine purpose is take a leap of faith. So I experienced a lot of conflict within me because I was not listening to divine inspiration, and I wasn't doing my best. I was phoning it in. I was doing the bare minimum just to get by. And meanwhile, I was envying all my friends who were moving forward. My friends who were losing the weight and getting fit and writing the books and starting their own business. I was like, that's not fair. The universe likes them better than it likes me. That's what I really thought. But then I was experiencing more and more conflict, and I had to struggle harder and harder and harder every day to stay in my comfort zone. It was now work to stay in my comfort zone. I had to work so hard. I knew that I wanted a bigger, expansive life, and I knew what I wanted to be doing. But every day, that Deanna and those dreams I had were getting farther and farther away from me. Because I thought I had all the time in the world. That's what I thought. 5 years turns into 25 years really fast. Yes, it does. Brendan Burchard said, you don't face the hard stuff, you never get to experience the good stuff. We can only face the hard stuff through our faith. We can only experience that good stuff by resolving the conflict in our lives, by doing the inner work here and resolving this inner conflict through the act of communion. Right? And so communion, we all know communion. It's our fourth principle. Right? I through prayer, through meditation, through affirmations, and anything really that just aligns you, right? It aligns us more deeply with the infinite within. I have a really good morning routine, and I'm pretty happy with my morning routine. And when I'm done with that routine, I know how I want to be in my day. I know how I want to be, right? In faith, calling forth spirit, being an extension of God's love in this world, right? Being a love amplifier, being a grace generator. That's how I know, that's how I want to be. But then I'm done meditating, I'm done doing that stuff. And then life gets lifey. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, this is hard. I'm going to yell at somebody. I'm going to be judgmental. This is when I started thinking about, we talk about our spiritual paths all the time, but it's not a practice if we're only working it when it's easy. It's a pastime. It's a hobby. Right? It's only a spiritual practice when we use the tools even when life is lifey. So to practice, do the practice, we're taking all these tools, even when it's the most challenging. And so here's where our third principle is so supportive to our fourth principle in staying in communion. So our third principle is about creating our experiences through our way of thinking and acting and through the choices that we make. So we start off with our prayer, our meditation, we're in communion. We know in the day ahead, we know how we want to be by making choices in integrity with our divine self. That's the person we want to be. That's how I'm going to approach my whole day. We decide that for ourselves. We take responsibility for ourselves. We don't let the angry driver who cut us off or honked at us because we were going too slow, we don't let them decide how we're going to act in our day. right? We don't let the angry coworker decide how we are going to act in our day. We choose from faith, and we choose expansion. Now, I said that we can embody faith and fear at the same time. We actually can do that together. I didn't know that. Once upon a time, I thought, we have to clear all the fear out first, and that means I'm in faith. But actually, it's acting on faith when we're in fear that causes transformation. If there's absolutely no fear involved, we're probably in our comfort zone. So you don't need the faith to take an action because you're not afraid, right? You're just going to do whatever you do. So I have a story that illustrates this really well. And I know some of you have heard this story before because it's so freaking cute, so adorable. When my kids were little, my daughter was 1 and Adam here was 3. Like 3, can you imagine this guy 3 years old? He was so cute. We lived in these apartments and there was a swimming pool there. And we happened to move in just at the beginning of summer, and so we were utilizing the pool. When we first started going to the pool, the kids just had their little floaty things on, and we'd go into the pool and just float around and splash, and I think we had a little ball or something. But then one day, Adam, he sees bigger kids jump in the pool. And he decides, Mommy, I want to jump in that pool. I want to jump in. So I'm like, okay. He gets out of the pool, goes around where I'm standing, and he leans in. But then he kind of backs up a little. Then he leans in again. And probably the first time before he actually jumped in took a minute or two, right? But then he jumped in, and I was right there to catch him. And then immediately he's like, I'm going to do it again. He went out again, and he did it again. And then he went out and did it again. And this time it's like, Mom, back up. Don't catch me. Don't catch me. And that first day, he jumped in that pool so many times that I just lost track of it. We left. We were walking home after that. All of us were tired. It was a good day. I knew the kids were going to nap really, really well after all that playing. All of us, we had a good day, but Adam was transformed by that experience. Because we started the day, he was a 3-year-old. He was a toddler, and he was going to the pool. But he left there a little man who jumps in the pool like a big boy. Transformation. We're taking a leap. And like he stood at the edge before he took a leap. Right? A leap of faith, it transforms us because we do it even if we are afraid. All right, now there's this thing that we love to do. Okay, a leap of faith, it's always a leap. Always is a leap. All right? It's base jumping. It's bungee jumping. It's whatever kind of scary jumping that you say, yeah, I never in a million years want to do that. You're standing at the edge. But what we like to do is think, okay, here I am at the edge. How can I do this slow? How can I jump off the edge here? And how can I do it totally safe? So there's nothing for me to worry about. There's no obstacle in my way. A leap of faith, we're either taking a leap of faith or we're standing at the edge and we're analyzing it and wondering, how can I make this safe so I don't have to be uncomfortable? Leap of faith. Now here, the thing is that here, as a spiritual being in a body, right, we're here having this human experience, but our purpose is about aligning with the divine within, so we're calling it forth into our life. We're in conflict then because we want to be aligned with our divine center, and that requires faith, but we're trying to figure out how to do it safe. We're trying to figure out how to jump off that edge slow. So communion, it's not just an act of going within and recognizing the divine is within us, and there at home where it's quiet and easy, and we're meditating and we're thinking our happy affirmations. Communion sets the stage for us. That first part, it sets the stage so we can stand up and then say, okay, now I'm going to go do the hard things. I'm going to do the uncomfortable things, right? Whatever I got to do to get my big dream or my next thing that I want to do, that's what I will do. We are designed to be living our lives through these leaps of faith over and over again. But you don't have to constantly be doing it. It's okay. You might have some lunch, sit down, relax, right? It's all right. Because the leap of faith, they're cumulative. We take an action and then we wait. This is why the universe never rushed in and did all the work for me. The universe is responsive. We have to take that leap of faith first. We take that action. We do the thing it says to do. And I tell you, drinking a glass of water when you really think you're hungry, you may not think that's a big deal, but that was faith. I was like, it feels like hunger. All right, so like leaps of faith can look like those silly little things that are simply getting us moving in the right direction. They're putting us in integrity with how we want to be in this world. All right, so without faith, it's the lack of faith where we start having conflict. No matter what's going on out here, we can get into conflict in a room full of puppies if we're not in alignment right here. If we're not in faith, look at those puppies. Why are they all golden retrievers? Why can't they be Labrador retrievers? The universe hates me, right? If we're in conflict here, we'll find conflict anywhere. Like we'll be able to find it. So here's our call to action this week. Here's our call to action. We have a lovely affirmation here. We can say it together. Let's do it. I demonstrate the power of God through my choices and my actions. Right? So when we're choosing from faith, we choose from faith, and that leads to a choice that we make and an action that we take. That leads into transformation and expansion. Now, if we're choosing from fear, that choice leads to an action that leads to limitation and restriction and suppression and hopelessness. How we're choosing it makes it be a big deal. When I first came here to this church in 2000, I did not have any faith. Because I thought having faith just meant you believe in God. I thought that was right there the requirement to have faith. And I thought, well, yeah, I believe in God, so I must have faith. The universe just doesn't want me to be happy right now, so it's not doing anything for me. That's really what I believed. But see, I came here and I knew that what I wanted more than anything was to create the things I was inspired to create. Play the music and go out and give talks and meet new friends. But I felt there was something in me and it wanted to express, and it seemed so beautiful and amazing, but because I didn't have any faith, I was like, that's just wishful thinking. So I didn't trust myself. But I sat out here, like Susan, right where you're sitting. I used to sit right there. Sit right there. And I thought, okay, Reverend Joanne was up here. And I thought, okay, if I can just hear what she is saying, and if I can just try it, what is it going to hurt to try all this stuff? If I try and fail, no big deal. I'm already failing. It's not like I'm losing anything. But I thought, if I can try this and something actually works out, then I've won everything. Because if that one thing works out, if I have faith in just one thing and it works out, then I can make anything work out just by having faith that it is so. Like anything we desire, where do you think the desire came from? Like if you feel really excited and happy about it, where do you think the desire came from? It came from the source of all things, and a desire, an inspiration always brings with it the means to make it so. Every single time. You never will get an inspiration without also being given the means to make it so. But you have to be in faith, and you have to be willing to do what it says to do. That's the hard part. But the payoff is wings. Faith gives you wings. I also knew that if I did not try, at least try, I was going to die with my music still in me. The things I dreamed of expressing, I wouldn't do that. And at that point in my life, I was so tired of the people around me who were getting it done. I was so tired of envying my friends instead of being able to be happy for them. right? I had to do something. I was so tired of playing it small. I was so tired of worrying about what other people would think. Because I felt at the time, if one person said, "You're a failure, why do you think you're doing that?" I thought that would kill me. That is a huge thing to overcome. So, you know what? I did put this stuff to work in my life because I could not imagine one more day being in so much restriction. I could not imagine one more day feeling such hopelessness. And I remember that day, I was sitting on my floor looking at my bookcase, looking at all the books I had there, right? And I was looking at all these spiritual books. I was like, I read all those books. Why isn't my life better? But then I noticed there were like a bunch of health books there too, and healing books, and diet books. And I was like, oh yeah, I read all those books too. I was like, that's the moment I knew. I was like, I have to work this stuff. Fifth principle, knowing this stuff is not enough. We've got to put it to work. So now I have a daily question that I ask myself, and that is, how am I? Here's our affirmation. As I demonstrate the power of God through my choices and actions, how am I demonstrating that power? How am I doing it? Am I playing it safe and small, which just sends me right into conflict and restriction? Or am I choosing from faith? Right? Am I moving into expansion? Right? Take a leap of faith. Taking a leap of faith. So, I demonstrate the power of God through my choices and actions. How? I'm going to ask you, are you ready to actually do this? Are you doing it? Or do you think about it? Because I sat out there for years and years just thinking about it. Feeling inspired. And see, there's the thing with inspiration, is it can feel so amazing to be inspired. You think you already transformed. But the inspiration is not the transformation. The inspiration gets us to push the go button. And then a whole bunch of uncomfortable things happen, and then we are transformed. Right? So inspiration is not the transformation. Are you willing to do something really uncomfortable today? Are you? Okay, I'm going to ask you this. When that tithing basket comes around, are you willing to put a little more than you're comfortable? I'm not talking about being reckless or irresponsible. Just be a little uncomfortable. That's all, a little uncomfortable. Now I'm going to ask you this. Did me asking you that make you feel really uncomfortable? Right? There might be a little faith work right there. Take a leap of faith. Right? Grow those wings. Here's the other thing. I have these faith forms up here. I put these out like a couple weeks ago. I hardly saw anybody take any. Now on this form, it says faith. Taylor, would you grab this and hold it up so everybody can see it? Because I know a couple of people weren't here. On this form, it says faith. I want you to think about, just for this next year, what are some amazing, wonderful things you'd love to have in your life? You have no idea how you'd make them happen. No idea. None. You might as well just write it off because it's that crazy. I want you to take one of these faith forms for yourself and write down the craziest things that you can think of on there that you would love to happen, but you just don't believe could be so. That's what these are for. Right? I actually have one I left here in this thing, but I have one that I put in my planner, because I look at my planner 80 times a day, and I see that there. And now some of them, I have an idea. Some of them I have an idea for. God needs you to be who you really are. Right? And you be who you really are by taking a leap of faith, by living your life in faith. You are a divine and wild force of life. Life with a capital L. Okay? Hear this again. You are a divine and wild force of life. You're using a body. You may be playing it cool. Right? It's I'm not wild. I'm just really mellow. I'm all zen. But the energies, all that, the creativity, the excitement, the enthusiasm, the zeal that you experience, that is a divine and wild force of life. When we are in the state of communion, right, in both our thinking and the way that we are acting in our world, and we are in integrity with our soul within us, we're the calm in the eye of the storm of life. and we embody courage, right? We take that leap of faith, and we have clarity, and we have confidence. We know we're guided. We don't know all the steps, but we know we're guided, and so this first thing that we're told to do, it's like, okay, I'll just do it. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, because we don't know what we don't know. And when we take a leap of faith, usually the experience we have through the process is what we never imagined. Okay, take a leap of faith. Take a leap of faith and tell me. Tell me, it's like, it was everything I imagined. I knew everything it was going to tell me to do. Tell me that. Right? If you can really tell me that, I will give you a 30-minute foot rub. If you can really tell me that. Right? But I'm going to quiz you about it too. I'm going to quiz you about it. When we are in our divine center, we also embody curiosity. We embody creativity. To call forth the divine within us in ways we have never done it before. Our centered self is what makes us the avenue for God's good, God's love, God's generosity, God's grace, God's compassion, God's wisdom, all of that good stuff. We are the avenue for that to come forth into the world. And it comes through us, through our activities, and then it goes out into the community. It goes out into our tribe, the people that we love get to have this experience. Being that avenue for God's work in this world, this is the way we participate with life. We participate with life with a capital L, okay, the divine forces, but then we also participate with life with whatever L, right? It could be capital, it could be lowercase. We're participating in life through our actions and our choices, and this is how we are creating heaven on earth. So until next time, remember, you are the activity of God in this world, and everything you do, you are blessed, and so it is. So it is. All right, you beautiful lights, we have a song for you.